بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan for joining me in our first lesson, the first lesson of the Makharij al-Huruf. So this lesson, InshaAllah, we're going to be discussing al-Alif, okay, or the Makhraj of Alif. Where does Alif come from in our mouth? Where does it come from? What part of our mouth are we using to emit this sound, the Alif sound? Okay, and what sound does Alif make? Okay, so Alif, as some people can mix it up with Hamza. Sometimes people think Alif is Hamza. Alif is not Hamza. Alif comes from the Jawf, okay, which is the empty part of the mouth. So from here all the way out to your mouth, okay, like the air that travels from here all the way to your down to your throat, okay, this is called the Jawf, okay, the empty part, okay, and the sound Alif makes is okay, that is the sound for Alif, okay, so it comes from the Jawf, al-Jawf, okay, so try to remember that Alif is not Hamza. InshaAllah, we'll be going to be discussing Hamza soon, but Alif is not Hamza. Okay, so Alif is a letter of elongation, okay, it is a letter of elongation. Okay, if you've taken some Tajweed or you've gone through the foundational course, you will understand that the elongations or the letters of elongation are three letters: Alif, Waw and Ya. However, Alif is the only letter of elongation that is always a letter of elongation. Alif is always elongated, okay, and it is always accompanied with Fatha, okay. You will never have Alif without Fatha, Fatha and then Alif, okay. So Alif is always a letter of elongation, and the sound it makes is okay, and the best way to explain it, InshaAllah, is through the examples. Okay, two things to notice with Alif is when it has a weak letter before it, the sound you make with Alif is going to be when it has a strong letter before it, the sound you are going to make with Alif is okay, so let's look at some examples, InshaAllah, to make this clearer. طيب. So if we go to Surah Al-Dhariyat, okay, there are many alifs in this surah. So InshaAllah, we're going to practice reading alif with weak letters and also reading alif with strong letters. Okay, so if we look at this first ayah here, وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوًا, we have our alif here, okay, this small line here is an alif, and before it is a weak letter, dhal. So the sound that we need to make with alif is going to be the. Now, a mistake, a very common mistake that happens is that people, they make something called imala in it, okay, which is the, okay. Now, there are some recitations where you need to do this imala, where you're leaning the alif a little bit. However, in the most common style of recitation, we don't do this, okay, and even in the other recitation, it's not everywhere, it's in specific areas, okay. So as a foundation, you need to know that the sound for alif should always be the, okay, and the alif elongation, the origin of it, or the foundation part of it, is that it's going to be 2 harakat, 2 counts, okay, which is roughly 1 second. وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَارِيَاتِ. Let's look at this example here. We have alif, and before it is a ha. فَالْحَا. Okay, So they sound the same. The, ya, ha. They should all have the same sound. Okay, if you're going the, yeah, and then ha, you go ho or hey, somewhere's gone wrong. Okay, so you need to pay attention to that. Make sure when you are pronouncing alif and there's weak letters before it, the sound that it should make is not and it should be constant through the letter. Not and then like you're changing halfway through there. No, the letter alif. Okay, now let's look at the letter alif when there is a strong letter before it. So here we say wiqa ra. Okay, when we stop on tanween, we turn our tanween with fatha, it becomes alif. So here we're going to say wiqra, wiqra. So what you should notice now is that the switch has happened from an sound to now ra, wiqra, sound. That's because there's a strong letter before it. So like I was saying before, if there's a weak letter before alif, the sound that you're going to make is a sound. However, if there's a strong letter before it, the sound that you're going to make is a okay, wiqra, wiqra, yusra, faljariyati yusra. Don't say ru, don't use your lips. La. The strong letters, okay, or the strong sound does not come from the lips. It comes from the back of the tongue. Ra. Make sure you raise the back of your tongue up. Ra. Don't go ru. La. The strong sound does not come from the lips, okay? Let's look at here. يوم هم على النار ناري ناري هذا okay, آخذين ما آتاهم ذلك كانوا pay attention to the sound قليلا وبالأسحار حاري أموا, and this is all from the jawf. أموا, just the empty part of the throat. It comes from here and it comes out through the mouth. You're gonna say here للسائل آيات. Let's look at some more examples with alif and a strong letter. إبراهيم فراغ قال قالوا the sound, okay, قالوا let's look at this example. حجارة حجارة. So here the Jim is going to be weak. Okay, so the Alif is going to be weak. Hijah, you don't go Hijah. Yes, we're about to go into a strong Ra, but pay attention to the weak letters first and then say the strong letter Ra. حجارة فأخرجنا وتركنا يخافون العذاب Okay, here look, we have an elongation and a strong letter before it. بسلطان عاد أرسلنا عاد أرسلنا. So they have the same sound, even though the letters are different. The sound is still the same because they're both weak letters. إلا فما استطاعوا وما كانوا والسماء ماء بنيناها خلقنا إلها آخر كذلك ما أتى قالوا طيب. So in summary, as we mentioned, if there is a weak letter before Alif, the sound is going to be if there's a strong letter before it, the sound is going to be Try to remember that. Practice these examples and try your best, InshaAllah. And we will see you in the next lesson. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.